Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well out there. And today we're going to head back to the Bates Motel. But before we do that, do me a favor, like, comment, and subscribe. Join me here, I greatly would appreciate that. Also, before we get into it, in the description box below, I'm going to leave an Amazon affiliate link for the movie we're going to talk about. If you're interested, hit that link. It helps out the channel. I'm also going to leave a link for my TeePublic page. We have over 50 designs over there. Go over and check that out as well. And today, folks, we're going to talk about Psycho for the Beginning. Yes, Psycho for the Beginning aired on Showtime. This is a TV movie or cable movie on November 10th of 1990. It's rated R. It's an hour and 36 minutes long. And this was directed by Mick Garris. And Mick Garris was teaming up with Anthony Perkins, coming back once again to play Norman Bates. Olivia Hussey plays Norma Bates' mother, because we do see a lot of younger Norman in this film. And speaking of younger Norman, Henry Thomas came in to play young Norman Bates. CCH Pounder plays Fran Ambrose. She is a radio personality that talks about serial killers. And topic of discussion as of late on her program has been matricide. And they definitely get into that, especially with Norman calling into the show. And John Landis is in this film as well as Fran's show producer. So we see quite a bit of him popping in and out of scenes. And John Landis and Mick Garris are good friends in real life. And basically this film is Norman's happily married and living a good life now. Like, he's moved on from part 3. He's recovered from part 3. Matter of fact, the woman who was his therapist in the psych ward was the woman he married. That's his wife. And he calls into this show, Fran Ambrose's show, and basically gives a fake name, but starts going through his childhood, reliving it, telling stories of what drove him to murder later on, while killing his mother and her boyfriend, and moving on to killing other folks dressed as his mother. And they have a psychiatrist on there, so he's pressing Norman, well, the name they give, for answers. And Norman gets agitated and then finally they kick the doctor out, realizing that they're not going to get anywhere, because Norman is reluctant to really open up to this doctor. He's being very pushy, and Norman doesn't like that. They kind of figured out that it's Norman Bates on the phone, but they can't confirm that until, in a moment of weakness, Norman says his name on the air, and Fran realizes who it is. So they start calling Fairvale to figure out where Norman Bates lives and who he's possibly married to, because towards the end, he does give up that he plans on killing his wife, not because he's sick or mentally ill anymore, but because she got pregnant, and he told her when they first met that he did not want to have children, because his worry is that split personality would be ingrained in their child, and he wants the Bates bloodline to die with him. And he's not happy that she's pregnant, because he's afraid this is going to happen. So he's going to ward it off by killing his wife. And that's his plan. And we get to see a lot of young Norman. And Henry Thomas here is fantastic as a young Norman Bates. And the interaction between him and his mother, you could really see how Norman went crazy. His mother was very much abusive in terms of psychologically, verbally at times, saying some of the most awful things to him, but then being very lovingly other times. So you can see how this kid got confused and eventually snapped and did what he did. So it's very cool to go back, even though sometimes prequels don't really work because we know how the story ends. But they do a nice job, and there's really good performances here that you're very invested in the journey. And then at the end, we get the finale with Norman has his wife meet him at his mother's house, the Bates house, and he's gonna kill her. He obviously doesn't kill her, but he's tempted to, because he wants the bloodline end. She talks him out of it. He burns the house down. He almost dies in it while he's having flashbacks. And then he gets out. Him and his wife embrace, and it's the end of Psycho for the Beginning. What to like about this film? The performances. Anthony Perkins, once again, is phenomenal as Norman Bates. Henry Thomas is awesome. The whole cast here is awesome here. And they really do sell it. Mick Garris does a nice job with the film. We get to see some of Norman's early murders after he killed his mother, like this girl that kind of flirts with him all the time, comes over on the 4th of July, and he ends up killing her. We see some other deaths as well, and how he poisoned. We see the act of him poisoning his mother and her boyfriend. So we get to see all those things, even though we kind of know about them. But Anthony Perkins does a great job. But Henry Thomas really burdens the movie on his shoulders a lot, because he's on screen quite a bit. But they're both fantastic here. Everybody's great here, so I can't complain about that. Any drawbacks? Well, it's a prequel, so we kind of know where this is going, besides the fact that Norman's going to kill his wife because what he's worried about, that is his baby is going to be ingrained with the same illness that Norman did. But the only part that I don't like, prequels always had that problem where you kind of know where it's going, except for that. So they kind of give you this new story that Norman's thinking about killing his wife, but it's not because of mental illness, because he's thinks he's doing something very bad for the right reasons. At least he feels that way. The one down point of this movie, I think this movie is really well done until the last part where Norman has his wife meet him at the house. It kind of falls apart in that last part. I get what they were going for, but it seems rushed. It seems like they were running out of time in the production. I mean, this film was shot in 24 days, so they didn't have a lot of days to shoot, not like what normally it would take to shoot a film. For how good the movie before it is handled and directed by Mick Garris, this last part, especially the stuff in the house, until Norman gets out and we get the resolution we kind of want as the audience, we want to see Norman be happy and healthy and not be this murdering psychopath who's tied to his mother, so much so that she takes over him because he has split personality. So we get the ending we want. But overall, this is a really good fourth film in this franchise. I know it went direct to Showtime, but it's definitely shot like a theatrical film here, and the acting is really well done. This actually wasn't shot on the backlot in Universal Studios in LA. This was shot in Universal Studios Florida, and they had to rebuild the house, obviously, to specifications of what the original house was, and they had to build the hotel and all that, but they did shoot it in Florida. This film ignores the Mrs. Spool storyline from part 2 and part 3. They kind of do away with that. Olivia Hussey didn't have to audition. She was offered the role, and she accepted right away because she wanted to work on this film. Overall, this is a really well done fourth movie. It's a really well done prequel. It's not my favorite of the franchise, but it's a really well done movie. At the end of the day, I would give Psycho 4 The Beginning a 7.5 out of 10. A 7.5 out of 10 for Psycho 4 The Beginning. So that means every entry in this franchise really is pretty damn good. For a horror franchise that was going on as long as the Psycho franchise, that's a pretty good track record. So yeah, 7.5 out of 10 for Psycho 4 The Beginning. Have you ever seen this one? Leave a comment down below. Let me know. Hit the thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button. Share this video. I greatly would appreciate that. I'll be back soon with the review for the Psycho 1998 remake. But until next time, bye.